now with breaking news.
Good evening. A breaking news involving a tragedy in the city of Hattiesburg. Two families grieving for their loved ones. Now investigators searching for answers on why this plane crashed into a house. We're on your side with all of today's major developments. National Transportation Safety Board is now investigating the cause of that small plane crash in Hattiesburg overnight. The plane slammed into a house in Hattiesburg, killing 4 people in all. 3 were on board the aircraft, and they were killed along with a Hattiesburg man who was in the house. According to Forest County Coroner Butch Benedict, the victims have been identified as 55-year-old Jerry Stanley of Hattiesburg, a 67-year-old Louis Provenza, 2-year-old Harper Provenza, and 23-year-old Anna Calhoun. All 3 of those victims on the plane from Wichita Falls, Texas. Officials say the Mitsubishi aircraft carrying those 3 people crashed after taking off from Wichita Falls Regional Airport in Texas. The cause of the crash is still not known. National Transportation Safety Board is investigating. Our Melissa Rademacher is live in Hattiesburg near the crash site to bring us the latest that we've learned about this crash. Melissa, what have you found out?
Steve, I've been out here all day, and here's a breakdown of what has happened. It was late last night, about 11:20 p.m., when a twin-engine 8-seat plane crashed into a home here on Annie Christie Street in Hattiesburg. It was a Mitsubishi MU-2B60. That's the make and model of the plane. It took off from Wichita Falls Regional Airport in Texas and was headed for Bobby L. Chain here in Hattiesburg. The Hattiesburg Police Department, who responded to the event, have confirmed there are 4 deaths. 3 of them were passengers on the plane, and 1 was a resident of the home that it crashed into. Earlier this afternoon, USM released a statement that the passengers on the plane were family members of a student who was preparing to take part in the graduation events going on this week. Earlier this afternoon, the FAA also arrived on scene to begin gathering evidence for an investigation. The NTSB is on their way here as well. Those are 2 federal agencies who are going to look into the accident. They'll do things like investigate weather patterns, investigate the make and model of the plane, and see everything that they can grab from the debris of this crash. But even with all that, they say it could be months to a year before an official cause is released to the public. Officials say it will also likely be a few days before any of the debris is cleared out of Annie Christie Drive here in Hattiesburg, so Annie Christie Drive remains closed at the moment. Some Pine Belt mental health care services will be available at Edward Street Fellowship Center Wednesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for those in the neighborhood, and USM student health care resources are also available for counseling if need be. Like I said, those investigators are here to get that going, but that's all we know so far on the official front. We'll stay on the scene and bring you anything new as soon as we learn it. Live in Hattiesburg, I'm Melissa Rademacher, WDAM on your side. Steve?
Melissa, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Charles Harrington is also live in Hattiesburg. He spoke with neighbors near the crash and got a reaction to this disaster. Charles, what can you tell us?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Residents living here on around Annie Christie Drive are describing what they heard last night when the airplane crashed into the Stanley home. Now, Delton Smith was sitting in his home on Collins Street when he heard an explosion, followed by the arrival of emergency vehicles. And 1 block away on Evans Street, Suzanne Burkhalter and her family were watching TV in their home when they heard the airplane coming down.
We were sitting here, and all of a sudden we just heard a noise, sounded like metal clanging together. The next thing you know, it sounded like a bomb went off. And it wasn't but a few minutes after that, everybody was here.
It was just like somebody put the J-brake on a big truck and was right on down. It just made a thump and dead silence after that, and then screams everywhere.
Hey, now Smith and Burkhalter say they feel terrible for the families involved and are offering prayers for those crash victims. Reporting live from Hattiesburg, Charles Harrington, WDAM 7 on your side. Stephen, back to you.
Charles, thank you very much. The city of Hattiesburg is responding to this tragedy. One of the victims was the husband of a city employee. And again, the other three were family members of a student at Southern Miss that were traveling to Hattiesburg for commencement exercises today. Mayor Toby Barker had this to say. We grieve over the loss of 4 individuals who lost their lives during last night's tragic plane crash. They were connected to our city workforce and our Southern Miss community, and it's a heartbreaking loss for all. University of Southern Mississippi says the victims were from Texas were traveling to Hattiesburg for graduation, as we just mentioned. They were family members of a student who is to graduate today. Southern Miss President Rodney Bennett shared this statement saying, quote, "My heart breaks for our student and her family and for our community members and their family. The university extends our deepest condolences and our thoughts and prayers to all those who are affected by this tragedy during this time of great loss," end quote. Student counseling services are available on campus to help during this time. Now again, life, we told you a little while ago in response to last night's plane crash, the city of Hattiesburg wants the community to know Pine Belt mental health care resources will be available for on-site crisis and grief counseling. Counseling will be at Edward Street Fellowship today through Friday between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Mental health therapists, community support specialists, and peer support specialists will be available to residents should they be needed. We'll keep you up to date on all new developments in the crash investigation online at WDAM.com and on air. Now to a boil water alert update from the North Lamar Water Association. The boil water notice issued from the intersection of Tom Taylor and Madden Road to Burnt Bridge Road, including Chalmers Madden Road, is now lifted. Your water is now safe to drink. However, this lift notice does not include customers on Tom Taylor Road. Now to the latest coronavirus case numbers here in our state. Mississippi State Health Department releasing today's COVID case numbers. 218 new cases, 2 new deaths, neither of those from here in the Pine Belt. Over the past year, the IRS has been combating COVID loan fraud cases. It's a topic that's become popular on social media in recent weeks. Mia Monet spoke to one Hattiesburg business owner who says he was denied a loan because of all the fraud.
Jonathan Presley is the owner of Step Above Media, LLC, and he says his legitimate business was denied a COVID-19 CARES Act by the IRS.
At first I was confused because they really didn't tell me any reasons why I was approved, well, not approved.
In the last year, the agency says it has investigated more than 350 tax and money laundering cases involving CARES Act loans nationwide, totaling $440 million. When Priestley discovered this, he was angry.
And later I seen like people who don't have businesses got approved. I don't know, really made me mad because I really could use that money for my actual business.
According to the IRS, $349 billion of the CARES Act money was designated for small businesses to promote job retention and cover other expenses. Priestley says he already had a game plan if he'd been given some of that money.
I do mobile repair, so I wanted to get me a van, supplies. I also wanted to maybe look into hiring an accountant, somebody that had handle my advertisement, stuff like that to get my business from small business to help it grow.
Priestley says his denial wasn't fair and he doesn't understand why he wasn't approved.
Just be mindful of the people who actually have business, who's trying to feed their family, who could have used that money, who's still struggling now. Just think about how we feel being denied because all the money is going to people who just getting it just because.
In Hattiesburg, Mia Monet, WDAM on your side.
The IRS website says it will not stop until every fraudulent dollar is accounted for. Anyone with any information is encouraged to contact the IRS directly. The Visit Hattiesburg organization is celebrating National Tourism Week. And today, the organization gave back to their tourism workers with a grab-and-go barbecue lunch. Tourism industry, of course, took a substantial hit in 2020, but the city of Hattiesburg was still able to bring in $257 million in tourist spending. According to federal numbers, Mississippi is the #1 state for year-over-year tourist spending from 2019 to 2020.
And as all of our restaurants, tourism partners, our hotels, our outdoor attractions, as they all try to re-engage and re-enter the tourism industry, we know that the power of travel will really help to fuel our economies and get us on this great reset started back to our version of the Roaring '20s.
A proclamation from Hattiesburg Mayor Toby Barker was also presented to recognize the important contributions of Hattiesburg's tourism industry. This morning, William Carey University held its annual Small Business Leadership Award luncheon. According to University President Tommy King, they do it to recognize small businesses because as a small university, Carey relates to these businesses. This year's recipient is Joyce Hicks, owner of Bloom's, a florist in Hattiesburg.
I'm honored to be the 29th recipient of the Small Business Leadership Award. I feel like I'm a great part of Hattiesburg business. We have been in business for 27 years, and we love Hattiesburg, love our customers, love doing what we do.
This is the 29th year the university has hosted this event. Several members from the Jones County Sheriff's Department were honored as guests today during a Kiwanis Club meeting in Laurel. One officer who attended to talk to the group about a hot topic that's been in the news lately: no-knock search warrants. These types of warrants are used by law enforcement to gain the element of surprise on dangerous criminals. The criteria for obtaining a warrant like this is very stringent, must be fully met before a judge will issue one. The Jones County Sheriff's Department, they are essential.
Primarily, we're going to use no-knock search warrants just because we need to get in there and try to obtain the evidence that the violator has, or like the situation we had last week where we've got somebody who's affiliated with an extremist group, has weapons. You know, we need to be able to get into the house very quickly, what we'd call shock and awe kind of effect. And in this case last week, our SWAT team was able to get in the house and take the violator down, who was in the bedroom with a loaded shotgun, and he never knew what hit him. We were in the house and on him before he could mount any kind of defense, and that's the purpose of it.
Jones County Sheriff Joe Berlin says the public safety is always top priority for his department. There's a group of high school seniors in the Pine Belt that have a lot to celebrate. Not only are they top of their class as valedictorians and salutatorians, but they pushed through their senior year during the pandemic. They tell us they are ready to see what the future holds.
I plan to go to University of Mississippi or Ole Miss to major in biochemistry.
Okay. I also plan to go to Ole Miss. I want to be a lawyer.
Make sure to watch tonight at 6 and 10 to see WDAM 7 and Jones College atop of class 2021.
Well, the forecast is next. Please stay with us. I'll have a great one for you.